with us today. Okay, so Jim Baker and I, a little bit of history, because I noticed that our banking history was not on this paper. I'm not sure what that means. But I worked with Jim for 12 years at National Bank of Arkansas. Side by side, we called his office the Shrine because it had every piece of memorabilia from President Clinton in his office. And we loved Jim Baker. I mean, he would fill his pickup truck full of poinsettias every single holiday, deliver them to all the folks that were too sick to get out and do anything for the holidays. Or he would fill his pickup truck up with watermelon and pass them out in the summer. You know, all out of his own pocket. That's just the kind of person that Jim is. So when I asked him for his bio, he gave it to me and I shredded it by accident. So then he brought me another one and have it saved on my computer this time. But when he gave this to me, it's really not very long, and he said, "Please don't read all that." So guess what? I've got the microphone, and I am going to read all this because Jim, sit back down, is one of the most remarkable men. It just doesn't get any better than Jim Baker. So let me read this. Jim Baker is a fifth-generation cattleman. Jim Baker has spent his adult life advancing the state's cattle industry. From 1993 to 1995, he served on the Arkansas Livestock and Poultry Commission. When the reproductive disease was threatening the industry, he represented the state auction markets for the 11 years and was part of the effort to eradicate the disease and move to Arkansas for a free disease state status. He was elected Faulkner County Judge in 2014, and this was the 6th career that he has pursued. Jim was raised in Pike County. Baker joined 4-H as a boy and has been a member for more than 60 years. He credits the 4-H for giving him the involvement in the program that motivated him to go to college and prepared him for life. From 1988 to 1995, Jim Baker was a member of the Arkansas Farm Bureau Board of Directors, and he was also active with the Arkansas Cattlemen's Association. He became good friends with Tommy Lewis, owner of Lewis Livestock Auction in Conway, and was general manager of the auction from 1983 to 1994. During this time, he helped it become the 2nd largest auction in the Southeast, serving 500 sellers per week. Prior to that, he worked for Central Arkansas Production Credit Association and serviced the needs of 700 farm and ranch customers in Faulkner County and Van Buren counties out of his Conway office. Then in 1994, President Bill Clinton appointed Jim Baker to become the first administrator of the Grain Inspection, Packers and Stockyards Administration with the United States Department of Agriculture, a post that Mr. Baker held for 6.5 years. He oversaw 840 employees and had a front row seat on Capitol Hill while managing an agency that set grain standards and regulated livestock poultry in the market for the United States. When asked what he's most proud of, he said that it was being named Man of the Year in Arkansas Agriculture by Progressive Farmer magazine in 1999. I was 52 years old and at that time the youngest man to receive that honor, so I'm especially proud of that, he said. And recently, Judge Baker was inducted into the Arkansas Agricultural Hall of Fame, which honors those who have made significant contributions to Arkansas agriculture as well as community and economic development. That is a tremendous honor, which any of you who have been around in agriculture, you would know this. You know, he has a long career. He's one of the most respected men that I've ever met. So with that, I'm going to let him have the microphone now. Judge Jim Baker.
You start reminiscing and my time's going to run out. Thank you. It sounded just about like I wrote it, but I appreciate what the Rotary does for people in the community. I really do. Be involved and give others help that need help. I'm proud to live in Faulkner County. I guess I'm just lucky. I'm proud to serve as Faulkner County judge and try to look forward to helping people with the resources that the county has. I came to Conway in 1968 from Glenwood on the cattle. I'm a mule rider, trapped in bear country, warriors, and the Mustangs. Side note, it took me 30 years to buy a UCA cow. It took me 2 more years to put it on. But I've adjusted to Hendricks and UCA and CBC and the fine schools that they are. And again, that just makes me more proud to live in Conway and all. But I was part of the old AIC, and it probably never be nothing quite like that old AIC. I want to introduce you just briefly to 2 friends of mine. Some of you know them, Cecil and Leonard, that I grew up with, traveled with. One day Leonard called the FBI and said there was a man in his town that was hiding marijuana in his woodpile, and he wanted it addressed. And he gave him the address and said it will be difficult to find, but you need to find it. 2 days later, the FBI descended on Cecil's house in full force. Got out their tools, went to his wood pile, started splitting his wood, locating the marijuana. By noontime, they were unsuccessful in finding any marijuana, packed up and left in an unfriendly manner. Leonard called Cecil. Did the FBI show up this morning? He said, well, they sure did. Did they split your wood and stack it? Yes, they sure did. Happy birthday, Cecil. Happy birthday. Faulkner County is the second fastest growing county in the state, only surpassed by Benton County up in northwest Arkansas. The best figures that I have shows the population of the county is about 126,000. Approximately 50% of them live in the Conway area, the other 50% in the rural and Bologna, Mayflower, Greenbrier, other areas. But it's about 50-50 divided. Primary responsibility that I have as county judge is in charge of the infrastructure of the county, roads and buildings, stuff of this nature. My primary responsibility. To eliminate any confusion, I'm not a bench judge. I do get to settle tax issues, and I sign a ton of court orders, but I'm not a bench judge. For information purposes, the assessed value of property in Faulkner County last year was $1.850 billion assessed value of property. That's going to grow. It grew from $1.5 billion just in the last 4 years. But it's growing and will grow tremendously this coming year and next year and on. By state law, which was enacted in 1999, this year the county will be reassessed. It's a state law that's required to be done every 3 to 5 years, and this is our year. So the tax assessor will be assessing all real property in this calendar year. On your table is a dollar bill broke down, basically the way your tax dollars are split up. 80 cents of every dollar you pay in property taxes goes to the public school systems. Then the city that you live in gets 10 cents. Then the county gets basically the rest, the other 10 cents, which is broke down 8 cents for county general and 2 cents for the roads. The county has a budget of about $32 million for this year. We've got about 325 employees in the county that work for you. 50% of those employees are in the criminal justice side of the house, work on the sheriff's office and in the criminal justice side. Big numbers, about 165. This past year, we developed a new term in this county. We developed a word called partnershiping. We felt like that the county had a responsibility to partnership with cities on their infrastructure. The two major ones that we did this year was Mayflower and Bologna. And we expended about $1 million in a partnership with Mayflower and Bologna. And they too spent about $1 million in improvements on the roads. And we did some other work with Holland and Guy. And this year we plan to partnership with Worcester, Greenbrier, Conway, and we also partnership with Conway last year. But we have the rest of the towns and municipalities this year that we plan on doing some partnershiping with the tax dollars we receive. We spent about $18 million last year on general road improvements. We're still in a catch-up mode. My budget for this year is 10% larger than that $18 million. With good luck and no major disasters, we'll be able to do that much more improvements in this county. Some of the projects that I'll identify right here is I'm going to cut a road off of Round Mountain. The city, top of Round Mountain's a city, all the sides of it all around it are the county, and I took the responsibility to cut a road off of Round Mountain. The bids are out right now, they'll be open next week, and we're not going to put county employees on it, we're going to contract with a contractor that knows how to build a good road. It's going to be approximately 2 miles off the mountain. It'll go off the west side and tie into Military Road right below Conway School, the new school we built out west of Conway on Military Road. We have 2 state aid projects identified this year, which we will have to pay our part on those state aid projects. One of them is Elliott Road from Spring Hill over to Highway 25. And one is Lower Ridge Road from 65 over to 64 for complete road improvements there. And we're proud. We did 2 last year. We did Otto Road down to Saltillo over to 107. We also did Ackland Galley Road from 65 to Holland. If you haven't traveled a new road lately, drive either one of them. It's unreal how good a job the people that we contracted with to do those roads, and we kept our employees off of it after we removed the culverts and cut out the weak places and turned it over to private contractors. In the next couple of weeks, we hope to do Prince Street from the city limits to Toadsuck with a new road. From the city limits to Prince Street. That's our next project. And it'll be probably a 3-inch asphalt overlay and replace some of the weak spots, and a couple of culverts need to be replaced. The big project we're involved in for this year is relocation of Highway 25. Several years ago, it was on the drawing board. The city would pay 25%, the county would pay 25%, and the state would pay the 50% to tie 25 highway into exit 124. You know it as Salem Road, and it would go straight out to Beaver Fork, head north to the county. McGeorge has the contract. They started working. It's a $10.8 million contract for this work right here in our back door. The city had some other obligations with what's happening on Dave Ward and what's happening out at the old airfield and all. So the county has taken the city out of it, and we're the full partner with the state, and we've already paid the state our $4.5 million. And we're proud of it. It will help everyone to have that road straightened out, take it out of those rough hill curves and all, help the people in the north for sure. Again, the partnerships that we have with other cities they've identified projects they need, and we've okayed them and we're going forward. The best asset Faulkner County has, folks, is the public we serve. There's no question about it. The people that live here. The next is the people that work for the county that serves this public. And I can truly say I've seen a lot of professional work being done by people that work for the county this past year. I have identified that none of them are overworked. Most of them are underpaid, but not overworked. My goal is to put the customer first. And you are my customer. Whether you live in the city or whether you live in the county or whatever. You may fit as a stakeholder and all, but you're a customer. You've got concerns we need to deal with, you're a customer. I go back to my days in banking and other things. I think you build relationships. I really think that I'd rather build a relationship than worry about politics. And I know it's a little different than some of my counterparts, but I think the relationships gets the job done a lot better. And I'm going to stay there as long as I can as judge, but I'm going to stay in building relationships. If politics takes me out, that's fine, but I want to stay with the relationships. I think there's 4 questions. Every place I've ever worked, never been involved with, relationships have to grow. And there's 4 questions people ask you in any relationship if you're going to have a good one. Number 1 is, can I trust you? Number 2, do you trust me? Number 3, do you care about me? And number 4, will you keep me informed? If you can answer those 4 questions in a positive mode, you'll have a good relationship with the people you serve. Things are changing in Faulkner County just about as fast as your imagination. How we adjust to that change is through some good planning and laying the groundwork to prepare for the challenge. It's changing. I came to Conway the first time I ever came to Conway in 1965. You got off the interstate down below W Ward at the end of Tommy Lewis's farm. Came back in 1967, had dinner, had lunch at the Ramada Inn. Since then, the boom for Conway has happened. In all fairness, the completion of the interstate has meant more to Conway than probably any single factor. Right under that, education and the universities that are here and all. But if that interstate wasn't there, we wouldn't have the population growth we've had, in my opinion. And good roads, good transportation, and public safety should be everybody's goal to serving the customers that they have. I'm often asked, what kind of goals do you have? I guess I've got maybe 2. I'd like to be able to reward performance, not red tape. Too often in life, people get the credit and the reward for doing the job. They didn't do it. Somebody else done it. I'd like to be able to reward performance, not red tape. And I also believe in my job today, there's lots of room for negotiation. Don't dictate. I don't want to be around a dictator. Nobody else does that I know of, but I think that I told Deanna I'd keep it short and sweet and to the point, and I've done that, and I'm like, I believe I'll skip the other part, but I want you to know when you leave here today, Jim Baker's proud. He lives in Faulkner County, and his management style is lucky. I don't have any other style. It's just luck. If you get around good people, it'll rub off, I'll swear. And I guess I've got a list of mentors, probably 50 to 60 in number. But you try to be around people that make a difference. And try to steal some of their thunder. Use it, put it to work. But I'll leave it at that. I'm just proud I live in Faulkner County. She said that my time was up, but I have time for a few questions. Is that exactly right?
That's correct.
That's all I'm doing is following the script. Let's open it up for questions. Yes, sir.
Route 79 to Jacksonville, what's the status of that being improved?
Say that one more time. 89?
89.
Excuse me. All right, you threw me there. We have requested that the Highway Department look at taking 89 and doing it as a southern road across the county all the way to Cabot, from Tulsa to Cabot. And hopefully, it wasn't going anywhere till the colonel at the Air Force Base said it was the best thing they could do to serve the Air Force Base. And then it caught fire. So the people in Pulaski County were against it, till he spoke up and said it'd be the best thing that help the Air Force Base with rework 89. And also, it's Congressman French Hill, and I'll give him credit for that. He's took this and run with it. It's high on his calendar to do it. A few years ago, they were going to come from Jacksonville around through Camp Robinson and tie into 430. They've abandoned that idea. I told French Hill, try to get the resources that they were planning on to do that, committed to 89, build an overpass at Mayflower over the railroad tracks and take it all the way to Dave Ward, and Conway's $80 million airport would be a lot better served, and the public would be better served. And if that would happen, I think the airport at Conway is going to have a hard time doing what the potential is if you have to drive on a county road to start with, a state road in some places, and get there on a city-maintained road. So it needs to be a state highway, and that's the driving force. Yes, sir.
The highway, Gore's Ridge Road tie-in 65, is there any chance that the final tie-in would go through the shopping center? Notice some sticks or whatever, survey?
That part is in the city of Conway, and I'm going to let the mayor speak to that. No. We're going to start, in all fairness, we're going to start where the city limits are. We're not going to come on the city. We're going to start at city limits.
Survey through there, so maybe.
Yeah. It's possible, and it ought to be. The red light there at the shopping center where Lower Ridge Road ought to come out to that red light. And, that's probably not all that popular, but probably the right thing to do. Get off that old bad turn-in curve and all that stuff and eliminate it and come out straight to the red light. But that's in the city of Conway, and that's where they're going to have to make the decision. Question?
Jim, I noticed you have the county government expense broken out to 10 cents and 8 and 2. What are some examples out of the 8 cents?
A big part of it is big part of the 8 cents. Well, all the 8 cents goes to county general. It runs the collector, the clerk's offices, and all out of county general. County judge gets money out of county general, about $800,000. But criminal justice gets the biggest chunk of that one single thing. All county offices are funded through county general. That's how the 8 cents is broken down. County general as well. The services that county general has comes out of that 8 cents.
Judge,
yes,
could you give us a brief update? And I just sit here thinking, I know how hard you worked with the flood, and there's not many county judges that will be up to crack of dawn trying to deliver things to people who need it. People need to know that. What's an update on that? And I also want to let them know that the governor had a report, as you know from me, on the assistance that you afforded Perry County with their efforts there at Joseph. So you're be commended for that. What's the update on the impact down through Faulkner County?
We probably didn't meet the threshold for a disaster. Faulkner County probably did not meet the threshold for disaster. It's in the assessment. The assessment was made last week. Figures are not in. We have a lot of individuals for individual flooding that I think will be assisted. But as far as the county overall, we didn't meet the threshold. it will probably add to the state's threshold to get money from FEMA to help, which Perry County is the big loser. There's no question. I'm interested in trying to see 3 levees rebuilt in this county. 2 of them are on the, down below Lolly, between Lolly and Mayflower, 2 of the levees there. One of them is right out here north of town at Treasure Hills. And try to build a levee off of 2 berms there to be about, right now it's about 600 feet, I think, now I just walked it lately. But it's there's a gap in the berm that floods Treasure Hills. And that's my agenda, to try to get money for the levee rebuilding. French Hill has been really interested in, and Senator Bozeman. Those 2 men are really interested in trying to get money for flood control. The state of Arkansas, in all fairness, Jason, the prison's probably going to come first, education's going to come second, and then some other things before flood control in the state of Arkansas. But at the federal level, if we lived in if this had the delta of the Mississippi River or the big flood, we'd probably be in pretty good shape on money. We're not there. We're over here in Arkansas River Basin, and we've got to establish priority for some flood control, because we're...
Well, just to give you an update that would be of interest on that too, is the governor last week when we met said that he will include flood control and levees in a special session if it's called.
Good.
And Speaker of the House, Jeremy Gilman, said that too.
Good.
And credit goes to Crystal Lyons and the County Judges Association and the Counties Association for stepping in on that. So I think that you do see some movement, because they realize that the closing of State Highway 60 twice in 6 months is not a great thing for Conway or Perry County. So.
Or anywhere. Yeah. Or anywhere. That's great. I made no mistake of thinking that maybe it was way down the priority list, but you got it up there where it's being noticed, and that's good. But I don't remember the last dollars we got for flood control. I'm not even sure I was born on the last one.
Probably 1927.
The flood of 27 built the levees. It got the levees project started. And the levees held, folks, that were there. There's 2 breaks in the levees over time that have broke the levees and hadn't been repaired, and they need to be repaired. But the levee itself that blocks at the airport and all, it held, and it held fine, and it had about 5.5 foot of water up on the west side of the levee, but it held. We've got some problems on the bayou down by Lolly. Conway drains right there. When the river comes up, they have to shut the gates. Water can't go into the river. They shut the gates to keep the river from coming back into Conway. West Conway would flood if those gates weren't there. Now, West Conway includes a big area, but if those gates weren't shut, West Conway would flood. Well, what happened when those gates shut, all the water from Conway backs up this side. And it needs to be addressed. It really does. Probably the best solution would be if the funds could be arranged where they could put a pump system in when they have to shut the gates, activate the pumps, pump the water over the levee. It's not astronomical, but it takes dollars to get that done. And hopefully somebody will look at it saying that there needs to be a pump system. I saw folks fight it this last time for about 2.5 weeks, or a week and a half, excuse me. And their efforts was in vain. Their efforts were in vain. It just kept coming and kept coming. This flood was the 2nd largest since they built the Kerr-McClellan system. The one in June was the 3rd largest. The one in May was the 4th largest. We got 3 in 1 year. It's tough to try to gear up and head it off. So we've got to do some preventive measures. Thank you. Thank you.
Judge Baker, we want to thank you for being here today, and what we have is a gift for your time and presenting to us our project this year is the newspapers and education program to the log cabin.
Yes.
So we'll be donating 50 newspapers in your honor that will be used in school classrooms
Thank you.
here in the
Thank
community.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good program. It really is. Thank you so
you.
much.
And I'm not a Faulkner County girl, but I'm a neighbor. I'm a Van Buren County girl. I was right over the line. But I grew up on a dairy farm, and so I appreciate all that Jim Baker has done for agriculture in the state of Arkansas. It's very important. Agriculture has changed a lot since I was a little girl, but it's still very important, and so I appreciate that. The cards are up here on the front table. If they didn't make it to your table or you didn't get to sign them, they're up here at the front. And then the lapel pins are up here in front of Lisa if you didn't get one of those. So any more announcements before? Yes.
I meant to mention that if you haven't been to the Faulkner County Museum, go. In all fairness, you missed out on a real treat. The Faulkner County Museum, out there on the courthouse square, has more to offer in the history of Faulkner County than any one place in the and it's got on the second floor, don't miss the second floor, there is a train on the second floor, model train, that goes through the city of Conway. It's worth the trip. Go yourself and carry your grandkids or your kids, and it'll be worth about a day of school. It doesn't cost you anything, no cost.
Good, thank you. Anything else? All right. If not, let's stand and we'll be adjourned with the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth?